Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding. So, let's start with a big question. What actually happens when we sleep? For the longest time, people thought it was pretty simple. In fact, way back in 1834, one doctor described sleep as being just a step away from, well, death. The idea was that your brain just completely powered down for the night, a totally passive state. Well, what if that whole idea was just wrong? As it turns out, modern science has completely flipped that old thinking on its head. Our brains don't just shut down at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Sleep is this incredibly dynamic and active behavior, all run by very specific mechanisms in the brain. That's our big idea. Okay, before we dive into the full story, we need to get on the same page with a few key terms. First, there's the EEG, which is basically a way to measure the brain's electrical activity. Then you've got NREM sleep and REM sleep. These are two totally different kinds of sleep. You can kind of think of them as the main characters in our story. So how in the world did we figure all this out? Well, it all kicked off with the discovery that the brain has its own electrical signals, a literal spark in the dark. The real breakthrough, though, was in 1928, when a guy named Hans Berger recorded the first ever human EEG. For the very first time, we could actually peek inside and see what the sleeping brain was up to. This discovery changed everything. And what that first EEG showed was a total game changer. That whole idea of the brain just turning off, poof, gone. Instead, what we saw was a brain that was just idling. It was producing these slow, synchronized waves, but it was absolutely still active. So our brains aren't off, they're just cruising in a lower gear. All right, so for a while, we thought that was the whole story. The brain just idles all night. But then in 1953, something happened that nobody saw coming. A couple of researchers, Kleitman and Osurinsky, were observing sleeping infants, and they noticed their eyes were darting around like crazy under their lids. This was definitely not idling. This was something entirely new. Now, building on that observation, this led to an absolutely huge realization. Sleep isn't just one state, it's actually two. You've got NREM sleep, which is that slow, idling brain we mentioned, but then you have this other thing, REM sleep, where the brain is just buzzing with activity. Get this, these two sleep states are as different from each other as either one is from being awake. It's the duality of sleep. Okay, so if we have these two different types of sleep, how do they actually work together? Well, our brains don't just choose one for the night. Instead, we go through this predictable cycle all night long, bouncing between NREM and REM sleep. And each one of these cycles takes about 90 minutes to complete. This is the rhythm of your night. And believe me, this isn't just some neat science fact. It has major real-world implications. In fact, understanding these sleep cycles is the foundation of all modern sleep medicine. It's exactly how doctors can diagnose conditions like obstructive sleep apnea, where a person's breathing can stop over and over. This knowledge went right from the lab to the clinic. This is how it saves lives. Okay, so now that we know all this, let's bust a couple of common sleep myths. First up, the myth that your brain is just resting while you sleep. We now know that's not true at all. During REM sleep, your brain can be just as active, if not more active than when you're awake. And the second myth? That dreams are just random, meaningless events? Nope, they are tightly connected to that very predictable REM cycle. All right, let's quickly recap the 4 key takeaways from all this. Number 1, sleep isn't passive, it's a very active process. Number 2, the invention of the EEG was the tool that let us finally see what was going on. Number 3, sleep has a dual nature, this constant cycle between NREM and that super active REM sleep. And finally, number 4, all this science created the field of modern sleep medicine. It was a complete revolution. Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.